We're going to walk through what to say to HR when you're trying to take a leave of absence or request accommodations or just survive your job with a functioning nervous system. This video is all about initiating the process, following up when HR drops the ball, and handling the emotionally void circus that is HR communication when you're asking for support. You'll also learn what to do if they ghost you, what to say if they contradict themselves, and how to keep documentation without sounding like you're prepping a lawsuit, even if you are. This is not legal advice. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just here to help you say the hard things in strategic, calm sounding ways, even when you want to light your Slack account on fire. When you're ready to request leave or accommodations, the goal is to keep it short, state your intent, put it in writing, and sound like you know your rights, even when you don't feel quite comfortable yet. Here's an example email you can send for a leave request. I'm reaching out to request a leave of absence due to a medical condition. I'd like to initiate the process for FMLA and or short-term disability if available. Please let me know the next steps and which forms I'll need to submit. Here's an example email for ADA accommodations. I'd like to request workplace accommodations under the Americans with Disabilities Act. I'm experiencing a serious medical condition that impacts my ability to perform certain work functions. I can provide documentation and would like to begin the interactive process. Please confirm the best contact for handling these requests. So the pro tip is to avoid over-explaining or venting. This is admin mode. If HR doesn't respond within a few days, or they respond with, "We'll get back to you," and then never do, it's time to gently nudge while documenting the silence. Here's an example of a follow-up email. I wanted to follow up on my leave or accommodation request sent on X date. Please let me know if you need any additional info from me or my provider. I'd like to begin the process as soon as possible to minimize disruption to my work and health. And look, if they've ghosted you twice, it's not an accident. It's their strategy. Gaslighting HR behaviors include telling you you don't qualify without reviewing your paperwork, saying we don't do accommodations for mental health, saying we never received your forms after you have receipts, acting confused about your eligibility after you've submitted everything. This is when it's crucial to keep things in writing and stay calm and neutral, even when you're receiving. If the response is, "We don't do that," here's an example email response you can use. I understand that workplace accommodations may vary, but I'd like to reiterate that I'm requesting a reasonable accommodation under the ADA for a documented mental health condition. I'm happy to provide the necessary documentation and engage in the interactive process. Please confirm the next steps or refer me to the appropriate contact. If they say you're not eligible without reviewing your medical documentation, ask them to confirm that in writing. You're not being dramatic, you're building a paper trail. Here's the greatest hits list of weird HR behaviors that are technically legal but extremely suspicious. If they say, "We need more time to review," that means they're stalling or overwhelmed. You can ask for a timeline. If they say, "We never got that fax," that means they lost it or didn't look. You can resend it and get a confirmation. They say, "This isn't sufficient documentation." That means they want more specific language. So you just have to have the provider revise. If they point out that your provider didn't include a diagnosis, you need to know that it's not required for FMLA or ADA. So you could push back. If this is for short-term disability, your provider does need to list it on the short-term disability form, but you do not need to give it verbally or via email to an HR rep. If they say you need to be 100% before you return, that's illegal and you can push back or escalate. You're not paranoid, you're just protecting your peace. So you want to make sure you're saving all emails, all forms and faxes, screenshots of portals, submission receipts, and call notes. Anything that says "we received" or "we're reviewing." You're allowed to ask, "Can you please confirm receipt of this message?" You're allowed to forward things again if they lose it. Another pro tip, you're definitely allowed to blind copy yourself on every email. HR can feel like an emotionless maze of copy-pasted emails, but behind every "we can't accommodate this request" is a policy designed to protect the company and not you. You're not wrong to feel anxious or overwhelmed. You're not overreacting. And you're not failing at adulting. You're navigating a system that wasn't designed for your brain and mind. Use the toolkit, use the scripts, use me for sure. You don't have to figure this out on zero sleep and raw nerves. Next, we'll talk about what to say to your boss and your coworkers without oversharing.